Doug Ford is coming in with sweeping changes that are going to change a lot of how we build homes, specifically in the missing middle portion and also some of the high rise. And I'm going to go through some of the bigger points on how this impacts you as a person who is delving, buying, investing, selling in the Toronto real estate market. And if you're looking for help on how to navigate this market right now, you could book a call with me using the link that's on the screen. It's right here, www.chatwithzen.com.
Simply click on the date and the time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then.
Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. My name is Zhen, and I run and operate a RE/MAX in the Greater Toronto Area on top of making awesome content like this. And I have broken down a lot of stuff that came out in this proposal to kind of give you an idea, Coles notes, Cliff notes, whatever, whether US or Canadian, about what is to happen, right? So let's go through it right now. So the first thing I'm going to talk about how is they announced basically the biggest thing is going to be a municipal upzoning. So there's something called as of right, meaning if you own a piece of land right now, there's nobody that's going to come by and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, if you want to turn that single family home into what is potentially a triplex. So there's a very good little chart over here, or not chart, a photo here that shows you that if you own a piece of land, a house, you can put a basement apartment and it's by your right. So no one can object to you. Your neighbors can't do it, none of the NIMBY stuff. And if your piece of land is large enough, you can put a garden suite, and that's coming in summer 2023, and we'll see how the rules play out. But it's very important to note that this as of right means that basically every single piece of land that's in Toronto can easily just effectively 100% double the amount of capacity and how many families it can hold, right? Now, obviously, there's gonna be a lot of people who don't like this, but you know what? We need this because right now there's super expensive $1 million homes and like boxes in the sky. So having that middle is gonna give us kind of like more of that like European kind of vibe, right? Now, how this is gonna affect the market, and this is just my thinking, is that if you remember how I've always had my philosophy for investing, you wanna own a piece of land and you wanna add different units to it so you increase the cash flow and you can perpetually refinance, pull money back out. And you wanna be in the golden horseshoe because that's where there's a scarcity of land due to the green belt, right? And if you want a refresher, check out this video up here, halfway through the video. So how this is gonna affect you as a homeowner is your land is automatically going up in value just when these rules come by. So if you have, let's just say, I don't know, I always use this example, East York, if you have like a detached, you can probably put a legal basement down there, no problem. This will probably affect Scarborough a lot, right? Because you have a lot of those big bungalows that are 40, 50 feet wide, and it was kind of a pain to convert them into duplexes, but you can now slot another unit in. Now, obviously, in the older parts of Toronto, we call your century homes, the parcels of land may not be wide enough to fit these garden suites, but some of them are deep enough if you're like maybe 150, right? Because they are removing the parking requirements on some of these middle homes. And if you're gonna say like with the Scarborough or North York bungalows, yeah, you can probably do what's in the picture right now and put a third suite, right? Now, the thing that's gonna affect, the cost of this is gonna be obviously one, how many taxes there are. And the good thing is they're removing a lot of the development charges attached to this to incentivize people who own these lands to kind of build it. And then we'll also have to look about, how much the cost for labor and supplies are going to be. But all of this is very good for what's going to be happening in Toronto. The key thing to capitalize on this is if you own any piece of land, you probably want to have some kind of equity or line of credit to get that thing ready to build the thing when you have the right to do so and you can get a move on it. And there are going to be little like fine-tuned kind of things we have to look through when the bill actually passes out to see how they deal with stuff like HVAC, lighting, any setbacks, because those can determine the cost and the size of the unit that you're allowed to build. But those are very minor as they're just kind of putting the big umbrella saying, hey, look, missing middle, let's go. Bravo. Bravo to the Ford government. Now, some of the other things that they kind of highlighted here, it's not addressing more so the missing middle, it's more going to be about the development, right? And I'm all for it. So they're scrapping development charges and parklands and kind of community benefits for anything that's geared towards affordable units, right? So anything, I think it's what they deemed as below market value, not like subsidized homes, but like below market value to help people. And this was always a bad thing because builders who had to build stuff for inclusionary zoning had to pay development charges, taxes, and all that stuff on it. But now that's all being wiped out to incentivize them building it, which should bring down the cost of like, say, a condo price per foot by a little bit, right? How much? I don't know, I haven't done the math yet. The other thing is they're going to be removing a lot of the public hearings for these draft development plans, meaning you have all these public hearings saying, hey, we don't want the skyscrapers, they're going to remove all these kind of light shadow studies to kind of speed up the process. Because if you're holding that piece of land, I've talked about it before, there's costs to servicing that land. And when that cost increases because there's holdups of, people saying don't build here, shadow studies, light studies, angular planes, all that crap that has to come along with building a condo, it causes the cost of it to increase and it gets passed on to the buyer. So by removing the red tape, which is one of the issues I had with the way that the city of Toronto was building, it alleviates a lot of the stress that comes with kind of tying it up and kind of somebody coming in here and just ruining the whole thing because, they don't want a high rise in every single corner of Toronto, right? So bravo, also very, very, very good. Now, if you found content like this, where I basically summarize a lot of these ginormous policies and bills that are coming out useful, make sure I help you spread the knowledge by sharing this with someone you know, a friend, a family member, or someone who's in the real estate industry. And also while you're at it, smash the like button and subscribe to the Prime Property channel. And if you're looking for help on how to navigate this market, book a call right here, www.chatwithzhen.com. So the other thing I want to draw your attention to, and I think it's worth having a debate over, and you let me know in the comment section below. And I think the MPP at Jessica Ball brings that up really important point. It says, it does seem like this bill is good for building new homes, and I totally agree. But we have the questions about whether this bill builds affordable homes, and that is true. We are expediting a lot of things to build homes, and we're going to be constrained to how quickly we can build them. But the thing is, when we build all these homes, there's still going to be a floor in pricing, which is determined by labor and material cost, right? And if all of a sudden all the lands in Ontario is automatically 100% increased upzone, there's probably going to be a shortage of laborers. And when you mix that in with potentially maybe say like the sales market go back for a pre-con, right? And all the contractors have to go back to work, we could come to something we saw during the pandemic where we don't have enough people to work again, and that could drive the prices up for laborers. Because if you remember how hard it was to find a contractor during the pandemic to renovate your house, this could happen again because everyone has by right 100% increase on their density on the piece of land that they own. So it depends on really what the bottleneck is, and if it is the labor side, then yeah, we may have some issues. But the bottleneck that is being removed right now are the taxes and the red tape. Let's say that costs about 10-20% of it, of like building a new home. If we can remove that, that still alleviates some of it and makes the amount of supply that we can get to the market as quick as possible, because now they're basically just incentivizing the private sector to build more homes, right? And that's kind of why I like this bill. Now, this is what just this article kind of covers. There are some other things that I kind of want to draw attention to, and I am going to put a link to this chart which has all the bills and all things that they're proposing that will come into effect next summer, because the article doesn't highlight all of it, but this right here encourages some other things I want to bring your attention to I think are quite important. So you got encourage renovations, which is talking about basically prefab houses that are built already from somewhere else, and they're craned in. They are cheaper from just like a logistics perspective, right? Because you build it offsite, you bring it over, you drop it in, you connect it to your services. It's a lot easier than having to have like scaffolding around the house and go to your neighbors, encroach on their lot to build this retaining wall and all that stuff, right? So if we allow for those things like that, it could expedite the process and the speed in which we're building these new homes. The other one that I think actually could be really big effect is allowing for 12-story mass timber buildings. So let me give you the layman's example of this. Building concrete stuff and digging grounds and putting structures and steel beams into the ground take a very long time, which is how generally high rises are built. But if you could build timber, meaning wood frame structures, kind of like these, single family homes that they put like a concrete slab and they put wood up on it, right? Those are a lot faster to build. And if you can allow for like multi-level timber buildings, you can fill a lot of these kind of like smaller size apartments, like say anywhere up to 12 stories, you can build these a lot faster, right? So I think that's going to be actually a big time thing. But I think the people who are going to benefit the most are people who are well capitalized, have raised some money, or kind of pension funds, because they have the capacity to do these things. These projects probably are a little bit bigger than just like a single mom and pop investor to build, right? Now, the other things that they're adding to here is that they're kind of beefing up the landlord-tenant board. Again, they've said this many times, we'll see, but they're trying to reduce the wait time by 2 to 3 months, as you can see over here. And they're also increasing the compensation up to $50,000. They're doubling it effectively for reno evictions. Now, again, I've talked about this before. I don't think reno evictions are that big of a deal, but it's just kind of made to be a really big deal, because if you're being evicted, again, you can go back at cost. But again, you can check out a video somewhere. I'll put it up here if I can find it. You can check that out. And then the last thing here, and oh, thank God they finally addressed it. Now they're basically encouraging people to go into the trades, and they're allowing people who have kind of certificates from different countries when they come over to basically utilize their trades. Because if you don't know, if you come over from, say, a different country and you have, I don't know, let's just say like a medical license, you have to redo all your tests to actually pass, right? So it's kind of defeats the purpose, and that's why you get all the cab drivers who are doctors from different countries, right? So if you allow for these certificates such as electrician, plumber, and all that stuff come over and they're used here, it makes their life coming here a lot better. But the thing is, you still have to have the federal government allow for immigration of these people over, because their point system still goes by education. And then the other thing is they're encouraging a lot of people to kind of go on site and get skills training as part of the Ontario Home Builder Association, which is fantastic. So this way we can beef up the supply. So basically all these things I talked about in this video, I think they're all very pro for supply. And when we increase the supply, that should reduce the price, hopefully. If not, maybe at least keep it at bay so it becomes more affordable. I do think, though, with some of these things that are a little bit more capitalistic in nature, they are going to benefit the people who have money at the end of the day, meaning like people who already own property, because it doesn't necessarily help first-time home buyers enter the market per se, because they have to figure out the credit availability. But what this does, it makes developers on the private side, small mom and pop landlords, be able to create more homes and rental units, so that it alleviates some of the pressure for increasing the prices. So they are going to benefit. But at the end of the day, these are all good things that should help the entire market so that we don't see such volatile swings and up and down. Anyways, hope this found this content useful. And if you're looking for help on how to navigate this market, you can book a call with me using the link right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya.
Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.